of Connecting to Cure Crohn's and Colitis. This is our 5th year of our annual event, Rock the Night to Cure Crohn's and Colitis. Dana and I want to thank those of you who have been at Rock the Night all of those 5 years, and all of our supporters, from our smallest contributors to our major sponsors, who this year include our pharmaceutical sponsors, Takeda, AbbVie, and Janssen, City National Bank, which sponsors us every year, and the Berman-Rudberg family and the Rosette family. Thank you to our sponsors. In just 5 years, with all of your support, this event has grown from friends, relatives, patients, and parents gathering in a bar downtown to this incredible event tonight at the Troubadour with performances by Jacob Dylan, Cat Power, and Jade Castrinas. Since we started, we have raised over $500,000, which is funding research here at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, Mount Sinai in New York, and the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation, and we are making progress. Of course, thank you so much to everyone joining us here for the first time. Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis, as many of you well know, are extremely debilitating autoimmune inflammatory bowel diseases that affect over 1.6 million Americans. But for us, Crohn's is not just a statistic, and it is not a national cause. It is local and it's personal. Dana and I started this charity because her son has ulcerative colitis, and my son Lowell has Crohn's disease. My son is 16 and recently got his driver's permit. Although that is a normal milestone in an adolescent's life, his childhood and adolescence have been nothing but normal. He was diagnosed at the age of 2 with Crohn's, and thus has been coping with having a chronic illness his whole life. For the first 10 years after his diagnosis, we tried different medications, many of which were new on the market, but we didn't really know how serious of a disease it is. Even though during this time, he was not really in remission, and he had been hospitalized a few times, but he was still able to go to school and play sports. However, since February 2013, when his bowel perforated during a procedure, he has had 5 surgeries, hospital and ICU stays, a year where he had an ostomy, and years of PICC line infections, blood clots, tube feeding, special diets. He has uncountable amounts of shots, procedures, visits to the ER, many different trials of medications, iron infusions, and a million doctor's appointments. Most people do not realize that all of the things I mentioned above and so much more can occur with IBD. It's not just about a bad stomachache and trips to the bathroom. It's serious. Perhaps the most difficult over the years is the relentless stomach pain and unending fatigue. Recently, Lowell said to me, "I just want to do things." And I said, "Like what?" To which he replied, "Like go to school, like not be so tired." This is Lowell's life, which he manages with grace and good humor, even in the most trying circumstances. He still wants to do all the things a 16-year-old does, like learn to drive, which, by the way, I don't want him to do. But this, too, is our family's life. Myself, Sam, my husband, and Lowell's brother, Jonah, who, by the way, was at Coachella yesterday, and he drove back just to come to the event. He's going back tomorrow, so he's a good brother. We struggle with being able to do all the things that seem normal for other families, like make plans and travel, and we're always worried about what might happen. But I know we are not alone. We are just one family, but I talk to so many families every week who are struggling with Crohn's and colitis, and there are so many we don't know. That is why this night and this cause and your donations are so important. That is why I ask you to be even more generous than ever and ask your friends to join our mission. This is why we started Connecting to Cure Crohn's and Colitis and why we are here tonight. You are also going to hear from Joshua Greer and his experience with Crohn's, and from Courtney Steiner, who has ulcerative colitis. And then you will hear from Dr. Marla Dubinsky, who's trying to piece it all together for us with her dedication to research on these difficult diseases. She will tell you more about why it's so important for us to keep doing what we do. We thank you for your support in funding the research that will allow Lowell and so many others to have hope for a better future. Thank you so much.
Hear me all right? Yes. So when we did this last, it was at my house. There was a few people, and I just got up and kind of talked intimately about some of the things I had to go through with Crohn's. And I'm like, well, why don't you do it next time? I didn't really put it together that it would be in a public space with a whole bunch of people talking about something unbelievably personal and intimate and humiliating at times. But you guys are here because you probably have either directly experienced it or have someone very close to you who's experienced it. So you actually know what this is like. So I've had Crohn's for 35 years now. Very different when I was diagnosed. It took me 2.5 years. Doctors really didn't know what the disease was. It was really kind of hitting things with like a big mallet. Lots of steroids. That was basically what we could do. Any kind of treatments, things like colonoscopies. Anybody knows what that is? Not the most fun thing. Back then, they didn't even have propofol. So can you imagine, like, for young kids, and now you're seeing kids as young as 4 and 5 having these horrible tests. At least now they're getting good drugs. Back then, the big innovation was a Walkman. We would give you a Walkman, and that was supposed to chill you out doing anything. So, you know, again, you're looking at a guy who's had 7 major surgeries, 20 minor surgeries, years of lying on my back, nasogastric feeding, TPN feedings, and I guess I'm just here to tell you, don't give up. Keep fighting. It is worth it. It is completely worth it. You know, I've had some of the worst times of my life, but I've also had some of the most amazing times of my life. I've made some incredible friends, and I think what's so exciting about this time and this age, if you had to get the disease, and I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy, but if you had to get it, now's the time to get it. Really, I mean, because you've got a network. Again, this is really weird for me. I was taught never to talk about this disease, right? This is something you keep very private. This is something you don't talk about because it's a weakness. This is what I was banged into me as a child. If people knew this, you were not going to succeed. And, you know, that's kind of bullshit. You know, you can do whatever you want with this disease. And, you know, for me, that was, it's true. Sometimes it's a little harder. Sometimes we're a little more tired. Sometimes we're a little bit more cranky, but we don't give up. And I think that's probably one of the biggest lessons I've learned from this thing, is not to give up. So I would ask everybody to please pull out their iPhones and keep bidding. We need a lot more money here tonight. For those of you who have friends and family, thank you so much for coming out here. It really means a lot to us. Keep bidding, keep being a supportive friends, and just know that, you know, we're not going to give up. So thank you all again. Have a great night.
Hi, my name is Courtney Steiner. Thank you for inviting me to speak. I hate speaking in front of people, so bear with me. Can you hear me now? Yes. All right, good. I was diagnosed when I was 12 years old with ulcerative colitis. I thought I was becoming a woman, but it didn't turn out that way. So kind of went through high school and middle school, going through the motions. I was on steroids. I did high school track and field. I rode horses competitively. I got top 10 this state, my horse Buzz. Everything seemed to be fine until I got into college. I was a sophomore. Did sporty, did the rush, and everything turned for a drastic change. I was always tired. I didn't think anything of it. People with this kind of disease don't tend to say anything about it, which I think now is something we should definitely talk about, because not saying anything, you know, got to, you know, me having my major surgery. Sophomore year, I wanted to do everything. I was the photo editor of my school. Basically wanted to be that it girl. And I think that kind of, my flaw was my disease. I didn't want to admit that to anyone. The only people that knew about it were my closest family, so my sister, my brother, dad, and mom. So, sophomore year, after doing 2 formals in a row, being exhausted, I got so sick I was flown back to LA, and you know, being sick turned out to me going to Cedars-Sinai, which I thought would be a quick, you know, IV checkup, give me some fluids and make me feel better. Turned into a 3-week stay at Cedars-Sinai, which, you know, you're in this room for 3 weeks and it's just like, it's all you know, and you just want to get the hell out of there. So I did treatments, I did Remicade, got a lovely PICC line. I also got a MRSA infection while staying there, which wasn't something fun to add to the list. And after that, I was determined to get back to school. I took the term off. I did my schoolwork. I didn't want to graduate a year later, so I managed to get all that work done. Junior year, I was seemingly okay. And I had a really great GI doctor in Albany, Dr. McDermott, who literally looked like Santa Claus. So it was kind of fun to go to him. And I, got my blood taken every time I went. And I remember this one, I would, drive down there to Albany from Schenectady. I went to Union College. I would always be tired. I would always have to go to the bathroom all the time. Just didn't think anything of it. That blood test, he took one time. He ended up calling my parents on a Sunday morning, which is rare for doctors to do because it seems like they only call during business time. He said, your daughter has lost half her bloodline. So my mom flew out right away. I remember that night I was doing laundry in my sorority house. And I just didn't have the energy to finish, so I can't move. She took me to the hotel that night and said, I just want to stay here, I don't want to go to the hospital. We ended up going to the hospital.